Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Photo 2. Okay, so it's called Together. You're seated with you're into the square frames. So you have these really nice square frame glasses, very dark lipstick, almost crimson. Your hair is waved. You're wearing a black shirt with a very nice necklace. Black shirt with these, I guess these things that catch the light. I don't know. There's a young man seated on your right who's looking at the camera because you're doing a sort of selfie of the both of you together.
Yep. That would be my husband.
That's your husband, handsome fellow.
Yeah.
Looking at the camera, going like, "This is the face of okay, fine. I'll participate with this selfie. Sure, you do your thing." Semi-formal. It's nice because the color tone of the just aesthetically, right? So you're inside of a kind of it could be a conference hall or a meeting room or something.
And it was a Christmas party, his work's Christmas party.
Okay. It's all very nice. It's a very nice sort of self-portrait. So together, what are we talking about? Randi-Lee.
We're talking about, so actually we just had our 11-year wedding anniversary last week.
Oh, sweet.
And that's what it's talking about. It's talking about togetherness. I was trying to find a picture of like the two of us plus the kids, the grandkid, but I didn't have one of everybody together. So I just thought that one was it looked so nice. It was very appealing. But just that fact of being together, like to tie this back into the first one too, when we're on vacation, or even like I said, yesterday was just sort of a relaxed vacation mindset sort of a day. I'm usually with my husband. I don't tell him I enjoy spending time with him.
Sure. Yeah, I got
it.
Right?
Like after 11 years together, well, 16 together.
Right.
But after 11 years of marriage, we still like hanging out together. And I think that is so important to find that person, whether it be a best friend, a husband, that you look forward to spending time with, because that will also keep you present in the moment and not worried about what needs to be done or worried about what has already transpired, because you can just be with them in the moment and enjoy what you've got.
So in terms of this question of companionship, in terms of togetherness, so let's say you're born in your family, you're within a sort of family unit. And from the training that I do, we like to say that this is if you're born into a family, and most people are, that's your first experience of being in a network, right? What we call a service network, right? And so right now, your service network, you have 2 kids? How many kids?
2 kids and a grandson.
2 kids and a grandson. So it's a small little network, right? Some people have like 14 kids, right? So it's just like bonkers. Yeah. Okay, so how would you talk about this notion of unity and togetherness as a support system?
First off, I would say it takes work. Because even if you love your spouse, which I hope you do.
Sure.
Even if you birthed your kids or you didn't and they're stepkids, but you love them, it's still work, right? And I think it's a little easier with the grandson because, well, he's so little and there are no rules with Grammy.
Right.
But it is work. Relationships are work. So as much as it can be a great companionship and a wonderful network, you still have to give respect and receive respect from them in order for it to be a healthy kind of network, because it's really easy to be in a family, like I said, be born into a family and not have a healthy network. And been there, done that, had some rough times growing up. But when I chose my spouse, when I don't really choose my kids, but when we raised and chose the rules and chose the discipline for them, not that it was always easy, but we had more control over it than being born into that family. So I think choosing your network, if we're going to use that word, choosing those people that we want to be around, we can be selective, and that can be difficult at times, especially if our mental health is in a poor place.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people use others, or you think that you want to be a people pleaser just so people like you, or you're too anxious, or whatever it might be. It's not always easy to choose the right people, but we have the opportunity to do so. And we also have the opportunity that if we choose the wrong person, we don't have to stay there with them
Right.
forever. Whether, like I said, it's your friend or your spouse, or this is going to sound horrible, or even your child.
Sure.
I had this talk with my mom lots of times about my brother, and it's unfortunate that he died, but ultimately, while he was alive, we had to make some very tough decisions because of how he chose to be. Now,
Mm.
he was an adult by the time we made those tough decisions.
Oh,
It
wow.
wasn't like he was two. But even with your kids, you sometimes have to make tough decisions to lay down boundaries.
Mm.
So no matter what relationship we're talking about, I think that we can choose to be in healthy ones, and we can choose to walk away from unhealthy ones. Not saying it's easy,
Mm-hmm,
just
mm-hmm.
saying that we have the opportunity if we can get our mindset right in order to do so.
Sure. As somebody who sits at a desk to write, to put together a book, it's the world of ideas. It's the world of a narrative. It's a world of setting out a direction, where you're also projecting yourself as a reader who's going to kind of interact with the text and in your sense, you're trying to convey a message of sorts, and you've done a lot of the personal work of sitting there dissecting ideas, but trying to go deeper into some ideas to kind of say something different or something new or something
Mm-hmm.
specific about your experience. So what about having grown up and gone through your experiences? What would you say gave you those lessons that really kind of, because you mentioned your brother
Mm-hmm.
who isn't with us anymore, but it's just so, like, if we're all fellow travelers sharing a kind of a ride together, and some people stay on this ride longer than others. So what when you're sitting there thinking about writing or thinking about what to write about, what does the experience of your brother, of your family unit, of all of that, how does that inform what you write about?
Well, it's definitely informed the last few books that I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So the last one that just released last month was completely about my brother.
Wow. Okay. 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 Okay.
So what I try to do when I'm writing any of the books is pick one topic to stick with it, because as much as I write about mental health, it is a
Mm.
really big, broad area to talk about. I can't write just one book and cover
Oh, for
everything.
sure. For sure.
Because then it would be really long, or it would either be really long or it would gloss over a lot of stuff
Oh, for sure.
because you couldn't dig deep. So with that last one, I focused just on my brother and experiences related to loving somebody with an addiction.
Mm.
And before that, I focused on, just depression. Before that, I focused on just being a parent of a child with autism. So my family, my life experiences really decide kind of what topic I'm going to focus on
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
that moment. And then I just kind of focus everything into that one kind of sphere. And as I'm writing, what usually happens as I'm writing something, I go, oh, this would be great. And I'm like, but it really has nothing to do with this particular topic in this particular book. And then so I've already got my next book started.
So, with somebody listening, there are a couple of things that pop up. This is interesting. Like, somebody listening to the tone of your voice, because if it's pure, because it is a podcast, so it's all audio. So it's like the warmth and how you speak, the pace, in your case, the brightness. You're a very bright person, and you're a very,
Thanks.
you're easy to laugh, easy to smile. Talking about vacation, light is very lighthearted, and yet Well, the last book I wrote on depression, and then and the other book I wrote about the most recent one about on addiction. Now, don't leave us hanging. What's the title of your book, please?
So it's called Goodbye Too Soon. So it's not just about addiction. My brother actually died 2 years ago
Oh wow.
because of his addiction.
Okay.
And when he died, I kept going, well, his death can't mean nothing. And it was just like this thing that went over and over in my head. So I was like, well, I'm an author. Why don't I just write a book about it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. So it will keep his memory alive and help. The one thing about my brother, as much as he couldn't help himself, he always wanted to help other people. Like, I remember this one time I was, I don't know, like 14 or 15, like maybe probably a little bit younger even. Anyways, I was a teenager. He's 4 years older than me. I remember him coming home without shoes on because he had given them to somebody who didn't have any because he had another pair at home. Like, he was just so caring. He just really could not fight those demons that he had. And so I thought, you know what? He would want other people to be in a better place than he was, because he always wanted that. He just couldn't quite get there.
Goodbye Too Soon. Very powerful title. What is the book? So the book is published. It's out now.
Yes, it is out. It came out on May 20th, which was the 2-year anniversary of his death.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. What's your brother's name?
Brandon.
Okay. Okay. You're like, I think this happened the last time we spoke, where I have this
Probably.
what's it called? It's like a short circuit or a blown fuse where we're talking, and the sound of your voice, the brightness of your face, of your smile, it's there, and I listen. It's not that I'm distraught by it, but I'm intrigued by the fact that
my tone doesn't match the topic.
No, but it's not that. It's like I find that the artist is the person who will go where people would tend not to go. So in the previous episode, the guest was looking at PTSD and looked at anxiety and different things like that, and she had asked me about, or she had mentioned something about vulnerability and how it's really tough to become vulnerable, and in a way, what you do by writing about these very profound topics is that you're sharing your own sense of vulnerability in the face of a difficult topic. So, imagine there's a question in all that.
Okay, I totally can. So what I feel that you're trying to kind of ask, but don't quite have the words to form it into a question, is it's been therapy. Like, I have taken a long time to get to the point I'm at where I can laugh and say, oh yeah, I have depression. Ha ha ha. Right? But not like laughing in a mean way, but like just be like, it is a part of who I am, but it's not everything who I am. Exactly. So it's taken a long time to own it. And that's the same with my brother's death, is that, I mean, by the time he died, I had already been through quite a bit of therapy. So I owned it a little bit sooner. But I still went back and talked about his death a little bit more as well. And not just his death, but his life. And I think that was really what helped me get to the final draft of this. Because I'll admit, the first draft of this, I was angry at him. I was so angry at him.
Yeah.
And in the book, I even explain how when we were burying him, I yelled at him a little bit. Just a little bit. But through talking to other people and talking to my therapist, I mean, with my therapist, it was just because certain things have happened to you in your life does not mean that they have to define you.
Yeah.
They do not have to continue to traumatize you. They do not have to continue to control your emotions, your thoughts. There's still triggers every once in a while, but they're a lot less. And I notice them now. I'm like, ooh, that's why that's happening. So owning that has made me realize that other people are probably in the same predicament I have been in. And the best thing for me was learning that I can own it and it doesn't have to define me, and I don't have to hide it, and that other people have it too. So I don't have to be scared of it. And I think that's where my vulnerability really comes from. And because I can be that open person, I think it's important that I am.
Sure. Yeah. And as you say this, the photo together of you with your husband. Yeah. Well, so much to chew on. Shall we go on to the next photo?
Sure, it's your show. Go ahead.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.